Hello everyone, in this video we want to show how to create an invoice. Uh, in the previous video we create such Excel file that is page is set up to the A5 size, and the orientation was in the landscape, and we set the margins as a narrow. Also we do some customization, and we press the tick of the horizontally and vertically setup. And right now we want to create such invoice. This invoice is defined as some regular one, and maybe some of you need a different invoice for your work. So when you want to see what data needed to be added to your invoice, you can go to the Google and search for invoice to see what kind of data should be placed in the invoice. So you can go to the image and see different invoices, how they show the data in the invoice. You can see some templates there and choose between them what to be needed for your invoice. So as an example, this is such an invoice, such a template, and we want to create such thing. The first thing to know is that when you're creating something that has to be printed, it should not contain so much colors, or it should not contain so much dark colors actually, and some just light colors is enough for using it. So as you can see, the most of the page is white and black, and just the headers is have some light gray color. So what can we do right now? We need to add this data in my new Excel. First I need to define the title of each section of this invoice. I have the seller info, who sells the product or list. So in the seller info I have to add the name, address, phone and fax. I copy paste them, you can write them. And also we need to include the zip code, registration number, invoice number, and so on. So these are the things that should be defined for the seller information. After that I need to specify what products or what services, how much of those services or products, in which unit price, and what total price are sold to the customer. So these are the data I need to be defined for my product or service. So I copy paste them. I came here and paste them as value because I want to show you how I format those. So these are pasted as values only. The values are just pasted. And after that you need to specify the customer info, the name of the customer who purchased your product or services, the ID number of that customer, and the phone number. So we can, and in the end we will have a note. For example, when you print the invoice you need to write something, or before that you can write something in this invoice to note something to your customer, or in the future when he or she using this invoice. And you can include the signature of your buyer and the seller, so define that this invoice are confirmed by you and the customer. So these two can be defined in the invoice as well. So let's go and create the invoice. Also we need to include the date of the invoice, the date we issue this invoice as well. So what can we do, how we can organize these information in the invoice. When you want to organize something, you have to have some approach for structuring those in the categories. So this category is for seller, for example. This data is needed for the quantity and the products you are selling, and these are the customer info. So when we want to create, for example, the invoice or the form, something for data entry or something to print, we have to remember that the related information which are included in categories should be placed near together. So by this way, the users who use this form or invoice have a better understanding of your form or invoice. So let's move this here for now, and we start by the products information, products or services that we are selling to the customer. At first, we have to notice that each invoice have some limits in the paper. So in one paper, I cannot include more than some pre-defined products or services in that. If I have, for example, more than such quantity, I need to generate another invoice. So in the paper, if you, for example, when you have a paper invoice, in each paper invoice, we have just one invoice number that indicates that this is the just this one invoice. We have to define that how many products or services can be included in our invoice in the A5 size. We will have a one product or service to include in the invoice. So this is a row 1, row 2, row 3. We can go this, select this, and go up to the end to specify that we can include 50 product or services in our invoice. However, because I wanted to have a total row as well, also a place for having a place for writing some notes in my invoice, I have to preserve 3 rows. I have to clear 3 rows for having such data in my invoice. So I came here, I will remove 3 of them, and also I have to write in the description the name of the product or list. So I have to have a good space for writing that. So I have to increase the width of this cell in somehow that it's good for writing in it, and also I need to increase the height of my cell. So I have to increase that as well. I can increase this column width and height by just dragging those. Also, I can click right on the row and select the row height and specify the exact number, the row height I want to have. And as you can see, my last row of invoice is now in the page 2, but I want it to be in the 1 page. So I can decrease the rows a little bit. Also, I can decrease the margins as well, because right now I have a lot of margins in my invoice. So before decreasing the row height, let's change the row page margins. I guess 1.4 is better from top and bottom. Now I have all the products in 1 page, but I do not have a space for including the total row and the notes. So I need to have more space. I can decrease the margins again. Also, it's so much margins, I guess. it's intersect with the headers, so I need to increase it a little bit. For example, 1.2. I need to write that. What about now? Now it's better. So I have much better space. I have 2 rows of space. Also, I need another row. So there is, as you can see, we cannot decrease the margins. We have to decrease a little bit from height of my rows. So I select all these rows and I decrease a little bit. So now I have 3 rows, 1 for total and 2 for writing a note. Now after that, right now I specify this area. I have to have a good space for description, quantity, unit price, and the total price. So I have to increase a little bit the quantity. The quantity is a number. It sells 1,000 of one product to one. So you need to be sure that you have enough space for writing 1,000 number in this cell. However, the unit price, if I assume we sell on $1, it can range it from $1 into more than $100, $100,000, for example. And the $100,000 is lots of money, and I guess you have to you have a good space for that as well. And also the total price should be 100 multiple to $100,000. So we need to be sure that we have enough space for writing such number in the price. So I increase a little bit the price and then I delete. So I think this is enough space for unit price, price and quantity. I now sure about that. So after that, I want to have these titles. This is the titles of my product in the middle of the height of the cell. For example, if I increase this, these options can specify if my text need to be in the middle, in the top, or in the bottom of the cell. So I specify that in the middle of the cell. I Control Z to came back to the first place, okay? And then I want my text be in the middle of the vertical manner and as well as the horizontal manner. So this is the horizontal manner. Now I want to make these to be in horizontal as well. Sorry, I want to make these cells to be in the center of my cells as well, horizontally and vertically. So I make that too as well. Now I want to specify that this is the title. This is the title of my products that I am selling that. So I change the color of cell by using this to the light gray. I make it bold and I change the color to something, for example, dark blue. Now I have I want to place the border for my cells. If I come here, I can place the borders. I want to make them all borders. You have to notice that the borders that these are the light grays will be not printed in the cells. And if you go to the print view, for example, by using Ctrl P button, you can see just these borders can be printed right now. And the other borders, which are the gray, light gray, are not printed. So if you go to the view you can hide them, the grid lines, and you can unhide them, and it's a guideline for you to see where are the cells. So after that, right now I have a place for writing the description, quantity, unit price, and the price of my product. So in that I can say that I will have the total value of sale, total sale price in the bottom of my table, and I can make it bold and place it at the right hand because I want it to be near here. And also I can set the border in the bottom of just these cells. So if you see, just this border is added in my bottom of the cells, and another one for this right hand of this cell. So I will add the right border here as well. So if I go to my invoice Excel here, there is something that you have to notice. These borders are darker than these borders. So if you see the row bottom, the bottom of the row of each product is a little bit lighter than the columns border. So I can change that to this one to something like that. If I want to do that, I have to come here, specify the line color. I want it to be a light gray, so it gives me a pencil to write where you want to have this border. I can use it by clicking on mouse and sketch on my invoice, so it become light gray. Or I can after I set the border into the light gray, I double click on one of cells, I came out, and then I came here, I select my cell and go to the border and select bottom border. It now change it to the wanted color, a light gray. So I will do that by just selecting and not by sketching. Another thing I want to have is the place for saying that you can write your notes, and I can write this into this cell and make it at the right hand or in the left side. I guess the left side is better, and I can make a border. But this time if I want to set the border, I wanted to have just this place as a whole, a border around that. So I have to change the border color first into the dark black, and then I use outside border. By using outside border, the cells that are included into my selected area will not have borders. For this cell I forget to insert the border. I will go and set the left side of the border, so I have the border right here. Now if you go to the print area, you can see the total is added here, and the notice here you can write, and so on. Now I wanted to have this section. For a zip code and registration number, in most countries you will have less than 11 numbers that specify the registration number of seller or the zip code, which the place or address of the seller, which is the address of the seller. I need to have 11 separate cells to be included here for the seller to write 11 numbers, 11 specific numbers. So I have to have 11 cells. So let me paste the date here, and so I will define this can be a cell 1, this can be a cell 2, because I want to have to small cell. I can use this cell but make it small, but if I make this cell small, the quantity, the column that specifies the table for quantity will be make it small as well, because I make the whole cell shorter. So I control Z. I have to replace this cell out of the bigger space for, it's okay to have much space for price, and my registration number text can be included in one cell. And now I can decrease the size of the cells. I have to place this information in another place here, for example. Now I can select these columns, double click on it, so I can see there is an 11 space for zip code and the registration number, as well as invoice number. Actually, I can have this one a little much bigger. Let me see the column width. Right now is 0.34 centimeters. I can have, for example, I can have it, for example, 0.6. Okay, now it's better, I can see, but it's not included in the one page. I have to decrease the size of the, for example, the description a little bit. I can decrease the font into the 9 for this one, and decrease the cell of the price, as well as the as you can see, the seller info do not need to be exactly here, because I want to merge this one, and this column has much space. I can decrease that by double clicking on it. Now I have a better space. Also, I can change the margins. I remember that I do not decrease the margin at the left and the right, so I can decrease them to 0.1, and then I have to decrease a little bit the description, I guess. Now it's okay. So the 11 cells are now added into one page, in the page of my invoice. So I can go to home. I want to insert the borders for this one. I will clear the cell, so the seller be able to write his own number in the zip code, registration number, and the invoice number. The invoice number is the thing that should be included in each invoice. I make it bold and make it a little bit bigger, and I have this whole space. I can merge these cells. By merging these cells, I convert all these 11 cells into just one cell. As you can see right now, this is a F4 cell, this is a G4, H4, and so on. So when I select these cells and click on the merge and center, all these cells will be converted just to the one cell name as the F4. So this is the F4 cell right now, and I can write the invoice number with the whole space in here. So after that, these are the seller informations. So I can merge this one, the title of this section as well, and then I can make it bold. I can make it a little bigger, and I will change the font, for example, and insert the light gray. And we have to include the date into my invoice. So where I can do that, I can place the date in the right. In the most cases and the most forms, date should be included at the top of the page, at the right hand side of the page. So I can place the date here. However, because I merged it previously, I cannot move the date into these cells. So I have to unmerge it right now. I select the cell info, I unmerge it, it will be changed into the first place. I will add the date. For example, here I need at least 3 cells for writing the date, and in this case I can have the date correctly and perfectly into this cell. So I make it right, and now this is the place that seller can write the date information. Now I can merge them, but until the dates. So I merge that. The seller info came into the center, and I place whole this row into the light gray, so I can define that this is the seller information. Now the date can be seen as the something that can be right here. I can merge this as well because I want to write the date in just one place, and it can be typed, for example, 2019 or 250. It's need to be less and not to have bold. For example, the font number 9 is okay. Now it's good to have date here, but I can Control B date, make it bold. So this is how we can add the date, seller information, and so on. Now I want to include the customer information. As you can see, the customer information is placed in my invoice. Here at the right side, you can have it in the different places, but this is how I managed to have the customer information. So I need to place this one as a customer information title here. I select these cells and merge them, so I can have this one as a title. Now I want to have the name of the customer and the ID and the phone number of my customer, but these cells should be merged. Now this can be seen as the place we can write the name of the customer. The ID number of the customer can be seen as ID number, and the phone number of the customer. So this is how we can have the customer information in the right hand side of the invoice. I just select the border and make the outside of this have the border. I have this one to have the bottom border as well. Now I need to have I think I can use the seller signature, and also customer signature. These are the information of the customer. It's better to have the customer information at first, and then in the bottom of the page seller assign the invoice. So seller is responsible for all the invoice actually, so he or she has to sign at the bottom line, and the customer, which is or her information is here, need to be signed the near of his or her information. Now I can merge these because I want to have enough space for showing the signatures, but I do not need to merge the whole cells here as well, because this is something that need to be signed by pen, for example, or adding the electronical signature into the invoice. So I do not need to merge these cells. I just when I place the Control P, we will see this is the empty area. So this is it's not needed to have any merging. Or I can come here in the view and untick the grid line, so I can hide the grid lines. As you can see here, for seller info, I do not have the bottom border as well as the left side of the border. So I came here, I choose the bottom border as well as the left border as well as the top border. So I need to have the top border as well for whole the row. Now it's better. So here we show that how we can create an invoice, a template for in your Excel. So you can use this by, for example, when you want to sell your product or list those, you can just came here, write the description, what you are selling, the quantity, unit price, and the price, and make it print or save it as a PDF, or whatever you want, and sign that and give it to your customer. As you can see, the margins of the invoice is a little bit short, so it's better to have increased the margins. Also, you can decrease the header size. It's so small, I guess the 7 is good. 0.7 for header and footer. So it's came a little bit upper, and if you press the Control P, you can see it's now better. So in the next video, we will see the format of values that can be included in the cells and the format of showing these values to the users. So until next video, goodbye. If you find out that this video is useful for you, please subscribe into our YouTube channel and like our videos, and see our website yahoo.co.uk and see our products as well. Thanks a lot and goodbye.